Something new to the range, the Ruger LCR in 9mm. Why a 9mm little revolver instead of a 38? Well, we're going to compare that with a 38 and we'll talk about it. Hey, thanks for dropping in. An important word before we get too far on it. Again, YouTube algorithm, I don't know if it's just the summertime or what it is, but it has really been hurting gun channels in general. I've really seen a decline in the views on mine. So apparently, word's not getting out. I would really appreciate it if you would, if you like the video at all, by all means give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you click on notifications so you know what's coming up. And if you get an opportunity, share this video with somebody on your social media platform. Let people know about Riders Range. That'll definitely help the algorithm, certainly help us for the summertime. Anyway, back to it. The Ruger LCR9 is a lightweight carry revolver, or lightweight compact revolver, 5-shot, 9mm. Kind of interesting. We're going to look at it side by side with a 38 here in just a minute. One of my favorite 38s. It's got a 1 7/8 inch barrel. It's a stainless steel frame, but it's also got a polymer fire control unit. So everything related to the fire control unit is kept in this, or is enclosed and built into this polymer subframe, if you will. And you have a stainless steel frame with a it's got a shroud around the barrel, it looks like, for the actual bang part of the gun, and a stainless steel cylinder. 5 shots. Again, extractor rod. Don't know if it's going to do full length or not. We're going to try it here in just a minute. The front sight right now is just a white blade, of course, just a U-notch rear, and there is a pin here in the front sight, which means I can probably take that front sight out and replace it with something else if I have to. Typical Ruger, push in on the cylinder release, as opposed to Smith & Wesson, push forward, Colt pull back. Kimber you also push in on. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the features on this in just a minute, but let us put 5 rounds of 115 grain MagTech ammunition through this in a moon clip, which is what's nice about this, because all you have to do is drop the 5 rounds in, and lo and behold, they're there. It's kind of like a speed loader, only maybe better. Now, you can also shoot this without the moon clips. It will headspace on the cartridge case rim, but you can't extract them. You have to pull the cases out one at a time. Let's put some eye and ear protection on, and let's just shoot 5 plates here at 12 yards. All right, Ruger LCR9, 5 rounds of 115 grain MagTech. Let's just see if it'll be able to hit the plates here at 12 yards. And the answer is no to the first 2. There we go. Well, 2 out of 5. All right, we got to try it again. The advantage of moon clips, just pop it out, pop a new moon clip with 5 rounds in, and there we go. Let's see if we can do just a little better this time. The answer is not much. All right, it is shooting a little to the left, apparently. And there's how the 5 come out. All right, the gun's shooting a little bit to the left, and again, you can't do anything to change the windage on the on this gun where it's shooting, other than get out a file or a hammer or one or the other, neither of which I'm going to do. I did just pick this thing up secondhand, had very few rounds through it, like as in very, very few. Let's see, smooth trigger, which I really like for double action, and again, as you can see, the gun is unloaded. I like it so my finger just kind of rolls around the trigger as I work the double action. The trigger press on this is, I measured 5 pulls of the trigger, 7 pounds 11 ounces, which is actually not bad at all for a double action trigger. Now they say there's a type of a cam action in there that prevents the stacking at the end, and I don't notice on some of the Smith & Wesson J frames, I'll get some stacking at the end with their coil spring. I really don't notice it with this Ruger. It does have Hogue type, almost a mono-grip type of grip on it, so it's comfortable to shoot. Now, why shoot a 9mm as opposed to a 38? A little bit of difference in recoil, not a lot. Now, if you're getting the same energy or the same bullet weight, the same projectile, your 38 should feel the same as it does with a 9mm. Big advantage these days is 9mm ammunition is going to be a whole lot less expensive than 38 special ammunition. I'm going to compare that with my all-time favorite. Now, I haven't done a review on this particular gun yet. I will at some point. You can see that it is well worn. This is a Smith & Wesson Model 38 and it is a single double action. I bought this back in 1976, I believe it was, January 76. Paid $104 for this, brand new. It is, you're looking at the way it came out of the box, wooden grips. This was my pocket gun on duty for almost my entire career, hence all of the scratches. Had my motorcycle breeches built with a pocket sewn in the right front pocket that fit this gun in particular, so that when I didn't want to have my hand on, obviously on my primary duty weapon, I could have my hand on this halfway out of my pocket, nobody'd ever see it. And on a motorcycle, there's not a whole lot of backup with me, so certainly no long, well, I did briefly try carrying a shotgun. We did a short video on that a while back. Didn't last very long. So this is my only backup. 5 shots of this plus 6 shots of my main duty revolver. Anyway, the Model 38, which is no longer in the catalog. Now they make a 638, which is similar to this, stainless steel, aluminum frame, and so forth. But this is a little bit lighter. Now the Ruger LCR 9 with 5 rounds, 115 grain ammunition, and a moon clip comes in at 19.2 ounces. So it's relatively light for a decent pocket gun. The Model 38 Smith & Wesson, however, comes out at 16.4 ounces. That's with 5 rounds of 125 grain ammunition, same weight ammunition, no moon clip obviously. So it's a little lighter. Now, I also have the same thing in an all steel frame instead of an alloy frame gun. It's Model 49, and that one comes out to 23 ounces with the same 5 rounds of ammunition. So the Ruger slots somewhere in between, a little closer to the air weight than it does the stainless or the steel one. Now, they don't have this in the catalog anymore. They do have the 442, which is a double action only, has a little different shape on the shroud back here because there's no exposed hammer, and that one does actually in 38 Special come available with moon clips. And it's interesting that used to be Smith & Wessons were premium, Ruger was kind of middle of the grade. Now the Rugers are a little pricier. I want to talk about that in just a minute, but I want to see if that little LCR 9 will reach out to 25 yards. Let's try the LCR 9, again 115 grain MagTech, remembering that it shoots to the left. And let's try this at 25 yards and just see if I can hit anything at all with this little gun. We're going to start with a raccoon, a red-tailed raccoon. Haven't seen one of those before. Something moved a little bit. Let's try it again. Nope. Nope, something moved a little. I'm not quite sure what it is, but all right, 5 more. Again, pop out moon clip, put in moon clip with 5 rounds. Ah, got the crow. Getting something there, but not a lot. All right. You know I'm going to have to try it at 25 yards. All right. I did mention pricing a little bit. It's interesting that the LCR 9 has a manufacturer suggested retail of something like $869. You can find them on most sites for a little less than $700, whereas the Model 38 Smith & Wesson, no longer in the catalog, but the 638 runs somewhere around. Yeah, I think it retails for, or lists for 600 and something. You can find them generally for about 5.5. The 442 Pro is going to be somewhere in that general area around 500 plus. The 38 you can still find occasionally, and I've seen some advertisers still new in the box. Those are going to run a little north of $600 for the old Model 38. So the Ruger LCR 9 with moon clips is going to be a little bit more than a Smith. All right. I don't have any hope for 50 yards. I am going to try it out at 50 though. Right, like the Smith & Wesson, the cylinder on the Ruger rotates counterclockwise, or for those of you across the pond, rotates anti-clockwise. And because of that, you can see I've got one green mark around the primer. That's SAR USA 124 grain ammunition. Got one of those. I only had 4 of the MagTech's 115 grains left in that box. Actually got one more moon clip with them. So we're going to set this up with 124 grain that's going to come out to the right. So I load that to the right, excuse me, the first shot, so I load that to the right of the barrel. We're going to go for 50 yards. Gong on the left. Can I even hit that with this little gun? All right, I ought to quit while I'm behind. Now, many people say, why shoot at 50 yards? It's my range. I want to shoot at 50 yards. I want to know what and I've said this over and over again, I want to know what I can do with a particular gun at distance. That way I know it'll work up close. For those of you who just practice at 3, 5, or 7 yards, because that's statistically average, if you want to live your life based on statistics, go for it. But if that's all you shoot is at 3, 5, or 7, and maybe 10 yards, something happens beyond that, do you know you can do it? No, but if you shoot regularly at greater distances, aim small, miss small, remember, then at closer distances you'll have more confidence. All right, 4 shots left, this time 115 grain. Can I repeat that on the gong? I don't know, let's find out. 2 in a row, I know I gotta quit. Let's go for the 16 high right. All right, now I really know I ought to quit. There's a 12-inch below that. 1 shot left. And I got the 12 even at 50 yards. All right, I did better at 50 than I did at 25. All right, one more thing I want to do with this, but before I get to that, holsters are a little difficult to find. Now, this is a holster, Galco holster for a J-frame, Smith & Wesson, and it does fit in this holster, but I've got about 4 other J-frame holsters that this Ruger does not fit in, because the shape of the trigger guard, of course, is a little bit different, and the Smith & Wesson, the size of the frame is just a hair different. That 1 7/8 inch barrel versus, well, almost a 1 7/8. They call it a 2-inch barrel on this J-frame, the old J-frame. Doesn't make a lot of difference. But again, you get the right leather holster, it'll fit. If you get a Kydex holster, you're going to have to get one that's specifically for the LCR. All right, one more thing I want to try on this here, and that is defensive ammunition. 124 grain Federal HST we're going to shoot out of the Ruger versus 124 grain Speer Gold Dot, excuse me, Remington Golden Saber, not Speer Gold, Remington Golden Saber, that I'm going to shoot out of the old Model 38. And we're going to just stick here at the silhouette at 12 yards just to get a feel of it. All right, Model 38 first, 5 shots of Remington Golden Saber 125 grain out of a gun that's 17 ounces, fully loaded, and just a little skinny old wooden grip to hang on to, so it might be interesting here. But let's just give it a try here on the silhouette at 12 yards. All right, that works. Let's just see what the feel difference is. This is totally subjective, obviously. Drop in the 124 grain HSTs and the Ruger, and again, to me, totally subjective. There is no felt difference between the two, because again, we're putting about the same bullet weight out at roughly the same velocity initially. I didn't chronograph it, out of a slightly heavier gun, but not much. So no real difference in feel. All right, so what do we think of the Ruger LCR 9? I like the fact that it's moon clips. I've got a speed loader for the J-frame, but the moon clips are actually faster to load and unload. Ammunition is a lot less expensive, going to be just as effective because, again, same bullet weight, roughly same velocity out of the same barrel length. Kind of like this little LCR 9. That's it. Thanks for sticking with me while we test out something a little different here on Riders Range.